Friends, Ashwatthama and Duryodhana. At the king of Anga's palace, a visitor who often came by was Ashwatthama. Uruvi was a little intrigued by this unusual friendship, because Guru Dronacharya's disdain for Karna was as notorious as his undying affection for his famous disciple, Arjuna. Ashwatthama, the Brahmin warrior, and the only son of Guru Dronacharya, clearly did not follow his father's sentiments, Uruvi gathered, with a mirthless smile. And neither father nor son made any pretense about their feelings for Karna. Dronacharya's dislike of Karna was equal to the loyalty Ashwatthama pledged to the same man. Dronacharya's distrust of Karna went a long way back, as long as Ashwatthama's burgeoning friendship with the young Karna when the Sutaputra had dared to visit the Guru's ashram so many years ago. It soon became clear to us that Radheya was obsessed about learning warfare rather than taking up a charioteer's profession like his father, sighed Radha, when a curious Uruvi asked her how Karna and Ashwatthama became friends. She never once called him Karna, Uruvi noticed with amusement. He was always her Radheya, the son of Radha. One day, bowing to Radheya's demands, Adiratha decided to take him to meet Dronacharya, then an established teacher in the art of warfare who taught the Kuru princes. But Dronacharya, on realizing that Radheya was Adiratha's son, rudely refused to accept Radheya as his student because Adiratha was a charioteer. He only taught Kshatriyas, he insisted. Angered by the Guru's insolence and being dismissed so indifferently, and seeing his dream crumbling before him, Radheya was a little more impolite to the Guru than he meant to be. Oh, what did Karna say? I know that Dronacharya was so piqued that he has still not forgiven Karna, Uruvi asked, intrigued. Radheya has always been a rebel against caste and the social hierarchy, her mother-in-law said, after a brief pause. He has constantly been cruelly reminded that as a Sutaputra, he cannot aspire to more than he deserves, but he believes in his own worth and is contemptuous of those inferior to him in merit. And he did not hesitate to ask Drona, who had refused to train him with the Kuru princes, why he could not be taught by him. He asked why the royals were so privileged, were they blessed with special gifts like 100 arms? Why did they get this importance? Moreover, if Dronacharya taught only Kshatriyas, then how did his son, Ashwatthama, a Brahmin, qualify to learn the art of warfare from his father? Radheya's impertinence infuriated Dronacharya and he was curtly told to leave the ashram. But Ashwatthama, who had witnessed this conversation in mute admiration, was clearly impressed with Radheya. From that day, they became close friends. In fact, it was Ashwatthama who informed Karna about the celebrated archery contest at Hastinapur, and persuaded him to participate in it. Karna could not stop himself from going there uninvited, so he gate-crashed at the contest at Hastinapur. Uruvi sighed deeply, remembering that momentous day, the day life changed so irrevocably for her, and for Karna. Yes, I was so worried that I sent Adiratha to see what was happening, and he followed Radheya to the grounds where the contest was being held. Because of his foster father's unsolicited presence there, Karna had to admit to his lineage and was publicly heckled by the Pandavas. The incident still rankled in Uruvi's mind and she was enraged when she recalled the humiliation Karna was forced to suffer. If it could upset her so much even today, Uruvi wondered how intensely it must have affected Karna. Ashwatthama could have done little to help his friend, and the savior of the moment had been Duryodhana instead. After that, a lasting friendship between Karna and Duryodhana began, which few could fathom but most disapproved of, she being one of them. Uruvi pursed her lips tightly in rising frustration. Like Duryodhana, Ashwatthama befriended Karna unconditionally, without any bias or reservation. Karna and Ashwatthama were strangely similar, both were loved dearly by their families but not socially accepted. Ashwatthama's parents loved him exceedingly, yet he was ignored by others for no fault of his own, and he had no friend to boast of except Karna, who was an outcast himself. Perhaps that was why they empathized with each other so well, Uruvi deduced. His father's staunch disapproval of the friendship did not deter the son. She recalled Ashwatthama as a young lad, a serious, quiet boy, always courteous and obedient. Being older than the Kuru princes and her, he did not join in their games at the palace gardens. And as far as she could remember, neither the Kaurava princes nor the Pandavas treated him too well. They were flippant with him, as if they tolerated him just because he was their guru's son. He used to watch them with his solemn eyes, his face always grave and impassive. She recalled him revealing some emotion only when he looked visibly displeased at the blatant favoritism his father showed for Arjuna. If the guru frowned on the friendship between his son and the Sutaputra, the son resented the strong bond between his father and Arjuna, the proud guru and his devoted Shishya disciple. As the only son of Dronacharya and Kripi, Ashwatthama was the center of their existence. But as Dronacharya was dreadfully poor before he came to Hastinapur, the son bore the brunt of their poverty. Ironically, it was their great love for their son that strained the relationship between Dronacharya and his wife Kripi. And it was because of his great love for his son that Dronacharya earned a sworn enemy in his once-upon-a-time friend, King Drupad of Panchal. The story about Ashwatthama, which had been told to her by her mother, was a curious one. It seemed that the couple was so poor that they did not own even a cow, in spite of being Brahmins, and little Ashwatthama had never tasted milk as had the other boys in the Brahmin neighborhood. One day, a very fretful Kripi, tired of fooling her little son with rice powder and water, which she gave him instead of milk, taunted her husband Dronacharya about the great gap in wealth between the two friends. While one was a king, the other remained a poor Brahmin who could not afford milk for his only son. Angered and shamed by her words, Dronacharya left home, promising he would only return with wealth and fame. Recalling King Drupad's promise to share his kingdom with him, Dronacharya approached his friend for help. But that promise turned out to be empty, and the arrogant king of Panchal not only refused to help him out but did not acknowledge the guru as his friend either. "Friends are among equals," he said scornfully, and offered to give him alms befitting a poor Brahmin. Humiliated, Dronacharya took the insults silently, but he vowed revenge. As the guru of the Kuru princes in martial arts, Dronacharya told them that they had to fulfill one important command. He asked them to bring King Drupad to him in chains as Guru Dakshina, the gift customarily given to a teacher by disciples. At once, without further ado, all the Kuru princes set out to capture King Drupad, but it was Arjuna and the Pandava princes who defeated the swelling Panchala army. The victorious Arjuna captured King Drupad and brought him to his revered guru. In his moment of triumph, Dronacharya told the defeated king that by taking half his kingdom as he was entitled to, he could become his equal, but being a Brahmin, he was neither interested in kingdoms nor in becoming a king. Saying this, he contemptuously returned the kingdom to King Drupad and set him free. The humiliated king of Panchal swore revenge on his friend and performed a special yagna, sacrifice, from which sprang a son, the sword-wielding Drishtadyumna, born to kill Dronacharya, and a daughter, the dark, sultry Draupadi, who would marry Arjuna, Dronacharya's favorite disciple. The stage was set for the king to pit the Shishya against the guru. It was ironical that Dronacharya had earned himself another enemy through Arjuna, besides the wrathful King Drupad. And that was Karna. Dronacharya, because of his extreme affection and pride for his favorite disciple, Arjuna, had rejected two potential rivals, both worthy opponents, of Arjuna. The first one was Eklavya, a tribal prince and a master archer who was asked to give his right thumb as Guru Dakshina. When he heard the Guru's command, the devoted Eklavya cut it off and offered it to him, knowing that he could never string a bow ever again. The other contender who challenged Arjuna's prowess in archery was Karna. Realizing that the young Sutaputra might better his favorite students someday, Dronacharya rejected Karna outright on the pretext that Karna was not born a royal warrior. Karna, smarting under the snub, then swore that, one deciding day, he would challenge Arjuna and defeat him. In this way, Dronacharya had set two worthy archers against each other and inadvertently began a terrible rivalry between Karna and Arjuna, one that was to reverberate throughout their lives, Uruvi thought bitterly. The relentless Karna meanwhile persisted and sought knowledge of weapons and martial arts as the student of Parshurama, the guru of Bhishma Pitamaha. But even as he rose to become the star pupil of the formidable and hard-to-please Guru Parshurama, Karna did not allow himself to forget the sting of Guru Dronacharya's insult. The seeds of discontent continued to grow as a lifelong resentment against the Kuru's guru, sighed Karna's mother wretchedly. The last to fall prey to Dronacharya's love and extreme partiality for Arjuna was his own son, Ashwatthama. In his relentless pursuit to make Arjuna the best warrior in the world, the guru overlooked his own son. Perhaps that was another reason why the two connected so well, Uruvi supposed, as she saw Ashwatthama wait for Karna at the steps below her balcony. Their common opponent was Arjuna, courtesy Guru Dronacharya. It has been ages since I saw you last, Uruvi welcomed Ashwatthama with a smile. How is your mother? She is doing fine, thank you, he replied politely, his voice low, almost a whisper. She told me to give you her congratulations. I also want to wish you a happy life together, he added shyly. Karna is a lucky man. And you are a very lucky lady. Uruvi had not heard Ashwatthama delivering such a long speech before and she was touched. Next time, please take me to visit her. I would like to pay my respects to her as well. Ashwatthama bowed formally and walked away towards her husband who was coming down the marble steps after his morning prayers to the sun god. He looked dazzlingly handsome as always. Uruvi felt herself basking in that unusual warmth she always felt when she gazed at him. Watching them together, she felt how physically alike they were as well. If Karna looked magnificent in the glittering kavak and kundals he was born with, Ashwatthama, too, was blessed with a glittering, precious gem on his forehead from birth. As the wearer of this jewel, he was blessed with immortality and was free from the fear of death, disease, hunger and war. The two men were quite inseparable, the Guru's disapproval notwithstanding. Dronacharya and Kripacharya, Ashwatthama's maternal uncle and the royal family chief priest, maintained a cold disdain for the charioteer's son who ranked low at the royal court. Radheya could never get over Dronacharya's rejection of him, revealed Radha during one of the many chats she had with her new daughter-in-law. For days, he burned with anger at the sheer injustice of it. And I could do nothing to calm that storm within Radheya who, till now, cannot understand why he was not allowed to be trained with the Kuru princes. He strongly believes in being fair. In his righteous indignation, Radheya considered Guru Dronacharya failed as a teacher, he should have been fair and just to all his students. Radha paused, looked distinctly troubled, but continued with her recollections, wanting Uruvi to know what her son had gone through. After being rejected by Guru Dronacharya, Radheya decided to practice martial arts on his own. And he took his brother Shona's help. He gathered information about various ayudas, weapons, in the day and then after sundown, practiced them. He soon surpassed everyone in skill and strength through self-discipline, but not for a single moment did he allow himself to forget those painful moments of humiliation poured on him. I can understand his bitterness, but he must rid himself of it. I haven't been able to help him, so will you try, dear? It's like a slow poison, slowly corroding him, his soul. At this point, Shona silently entered the room and overheard the conversation between them. He interrupted sharply, "No, mother, it's those insults that goad him into doing the extraordinary." He turned to Uruvi, who was surprised that Shona was actually talking to her. "Pain is a part of Radheya, just like his Kavak and Kundals," he said testily. "Without the pain and mortification he has suffered so long, he would not be what he is today. A bold warrior, a kind man, he can never forget his roots. He wonders about his birth yet cannot forgive his natural parents for deserting him. If he thinks he is the best archer, he has a reason to believe so. The fact is, he is, so when he says he is unsurpassed, it is neither boasting on his part nor arrogance. The manner in which he prepared himself for the archery contest of Hastinapur is just a small instance of his sheer self-belief in his convictions," he sighed. One day, Radheya heard from his friend Ashwatthama how the previous week Guru Dronacharya had decided to test his students, the Kuru princes, in their skill of archery. He hung a wooden parrot from the branch of a tree and then summoned his students. He asked the first one to aim for the bird's eye but not to shoot just yet. He then asked the student what he could see. The student replied that he could see the garden, the tree, flowers, and all that was around him. Dronacharya asked him to step aside and not to shoot. He repeated the same procedure with a few other students. When it was Arjuna's turn, he told his guru that the only thing he could see was the bird's eye. This satisfied the guru, who allowed Arjuna to shoot the bird, and Arjuna successfully hit the eye of that parrot. Shona continued, his voice heavy with admiration, "After listening to Ashwatthama's anecdote, Radheya told me that if Arjuna could hit one eye of the parrot, then he could hit both eyes in a single shot. Both Ashwatthama and I laughed his claim away, but soon he proved what he said. Since we practiced at night, Radheya decided to shoot both eyes of the parrot that very same night with the help of an ordinary lamp. I followed Radheya's instructions closely. I suspended the wooden parrot high above the tree and held the paletta beneath. Radheya strung the bow with 2 arrows, slightly changed their position one after the other, and as soon as he got the signal from me, aimed at both eyes of the bird. His aim was so accurate that he achieved his target in a single shot." Shona's eyes sparkled with unabashed pride as he talked about his older brother. He had barely practiced and yet he could do it so effortlessly. This just shows that Radheya is the greatest archer in the world, and frankly, he doesn't need to challenge Arjuna to prove his merit. This is the same man who was denied tutoring by Guru Dronacharya and not given entry to the archery contest, all because he was a charioteer's son. Lineage matters over merit, and Radheya cannot lay claim to it. His lineage is considered ignoble, so his merit has been consistently ignored. What Shona revealed came as no surprise to Uruvi. "What dharma does Dronacharya talk of?" she sneered. "Some may call him loyal to the Kuru throne, but has he been really fair to others besides Arjuna? Both Karna and Eklavya were ruthlessly swept aside to make way for Arjuna as the best archer in the country. Dronacharya's treatment of Karna was as malicious as the pitiless suppression of Eklavya's talents, not just because Eklavya was a tribal but because he would have been a threat to his favorite disciple, Arjuna. Like Karna, Eklavya was rejected and callously cast aside so that Arjuna could feel secure and become successful. Is that the dharma of a teacher? That it was this teacher who had derided her husband consistently, without fail, and kept on disparaging him even now, made Uruvi furious, and she felt a sudden antipathy for this same person whom she had respected so deeply all the years she was growing up. The validation of this supposed great teacher is anything but teaching and education. How can he be the perfect guru if he is so blatantly partial? She asked derisively. If he is not humble and honest himself, how can he teach his students those virtues? Instead of teaching Arjuna humility, he pampered him and encouraged him to believe he was the best. The only justification for his presence in Hastinapur is not training the Kuru princes but seeking his own vengeance to destroy King Drupad through Arjuna, who is his ace card. He is going to exact his revenge through Arjuna. All he actually wants to accomplish is to settle scores with his oldest enemy. Radha looked at Uruvi, awed by her perception, but her eyes were troubled. Shish girl, there are spies everywhere. Shona looked unfazed, secretly enjoying his sister-in-law's tirade but not showing it. She was talking like a true princess in a regal rage, but the princess seemed to have forgotten she was now in the house of a Sudha. Spies. That's something Dronacharya started in this kingdom. And pray, how can he harm me or you, mother? She asked scornfully. The damage has already been done, he has harmed Karna enough. And what of his dharma as a Brahmin? It is imparting education justly. But how fair has he been? He is no devotee of truth, she stated angrily. Why, he is said to have secretly trained Ashwatthama, but then Arjuna got furious and wouldn't allow it. Hush, child, don't say a word more. There will be trouble, beseeched Radha. She was almost hysterical with worry and fear and was relieved to see Radheya entering the room. She gave him a pleading look, hoping he would be able to handle his tempestuous wife. Don't worry, Ma, I know how to silence her, he said airily and waved them away. To Uruvi's rising astonishment, his brother and mother took the cue and left the room, but not before Uruvi noticed a smile playing on her mother-in-law's face. She looked reassured and amused too. My little woman has quite a temper. Karna drawled, and without waiting for her retort, he placed his hand on her mouth. Peace, lady, he ordered and replaced his hand with his lips. Astonishment gave way to pleasure and Uruvi allowed herself to melt until she realized he was trying to distract her. She pushed him away. What did I say that was wrong? She demanded. Are you going to get angry and abusive with all the people who have behaved badly with me? He asked, smiling. Yes, I shall, she said fiercely. I can't bear it if anyone hurts you. And that insufferable guru insists on being rude to you, I can't help resenting that. Let him be. And if that's your parameter, then, princess, you will have to fight almost everyone. He murmured, a smile in his voice. And I would rather have you with me than let you waste your words on others. Do you always do what you like? Always. And how do you avoid doing what you dislike? He asked with a grin. Simple, I don't do it. I pity your parents. You must have given them a terrible time while you were growing up. I did, she agreed impishly. I tormented them when I tried to convince them that I would marry only you. I told them over and over again that I wouldn't dream of marrying anyone unless I was madly in love with him. And it's the same hell I am giving you now. He laughed softly. It gives me great pleasure, this hell. From now on she would look at Ashwatthama with new eyes, Uruvi decided, for she felt a deep respect for the shy son of the conceited Guru Dronacharya. Ashwatthama was the only person, besides Duryodhana, who openly acknowledged Karna's greatness and who considered his close friend as the finest archer, far superior to the supposedly unsurpassable Arjuna. It was Duryodhana who had lifted Karna from the throes of indignity to social glory by declaring him his ally. Ashwatthama and Duryodhana, two of Karna's closest friends, were different as individuals yet in harmony in their choice of Karna as a friend. Karna loved them unreservedly, his amity peppered with the right mix of respect and courteousness. He knew where he stood in the chain of command. With his innate need to be socially respected, Karna had reciprocated the affection displayed by Ashwatthama and the generosity shown by Duryodhana. For a man who carried in his heart the wound of unrecognized greatness, their acknowledgement gave him support, cushioning the hurt he felt when others looked down on him. Karna, Uruvi decided, was such a contradiction. If he was respected as the mightiest archer in the kingdom, why was he defeated so often by giving in to his sense of inadequacy? Why was this king, known for his generosity and benevolence, not so generous and kind to himself? Beneath his fierce pride, his self-image could not reconcile to the low social status thrust upon him, the niggling insults piercing his impassive composure. And he continually rebelled against this injustice, combating the world, battling the conflict within himself, yet never hesitating to be faithful to his friends. His loyalty to them was like blind devotion, almost sublime in its intensity. Whenever Karna praised Duryodhana or when people mentioned Duryodhana's wonderful friendship with Karna, Uruvi was attacked by an angry helplessness that was almost stifling. Her father's and Bhishma Pitamaha's warning words kept echoing dully as an ominous prediction. So intense was the bond of friendship between Duryodhana and Karna, that once Bhishma Pitamaha had told her father that if there was one good quality in Duryodhana, it was his profound fondness for Karna, his closest friend. Uruvi was fearful about their closeness. She watched in exasperated anxiety each time she saw them together. She was wary of Duryodhana and almost terrified of how Duryodhana had manipulated Karna since the day they first met. Against the setting sun that evening, the martial exhibition at Hastinapur saw the dawn of an extraordinary, unexpected friendship. Duryodhana was the sole person who openly condemned the discrimination demonstrated by Guru Dronacharya and Kripacharya and likened Karna, the worthy warrior, to the sun. On behalf of his newfound friend, the Kuru prince argued fiercely that the sun does not need to prove its brilliance, its identity lies in its power to illuminate the world, and Karna had a similar power. From that moment on, Duryodhana gave Karna his hand in friendship and honored his friend with a new identity. Uruvi could not understand why Duryodhana bothered to be pleasant to her. He knew she resented him. He knew that she did not spare him and seldom lost a chance to berate him. It was true that they had known each other for more than a decade, but she thought him coarse, brutal and devious. She was puzzled that he did not try to avoid her. Instead, he made a show of friendliness, especially at their wedding when he vociferously raised a toast to them and celebrated the occasion with deliberate gusto. Karna's daily presence at the royal courts notwithstanding, Duryodhana, like Ashwatthama, often stopped by to meet his friend at home. "This is a recent development," observed Vrushali archly, watching the Kuru prince step down from his chariot. "I am surprised he knows the way to our house. He never used to visit us before. Not that he is welcome in the house, anyway." She shrugged and abruptly turned to Uruvi, a sudden beseeching look darkening her usually calm eyes. "Please do me a favor. Neither I, nor mother, father nor Shona have ever been able to convince Karna that his friendship with Duryodhana spells nothing but doom. Will you try to do something for me? Something that I have not been able to do for so many years. Keep Karna away from this detestable man." With her unusual entreaty still ringing in Uruvi's ears, the older woman flounced from the room. Vrushali's urgent words troubled Uruvi, disquiet sweeping over her. The anxiety made her frostier than she otherwise would have been when Duryodhana entered the room. He was a heavily built man, almost as huge as Bhima, with great broad shoulders and ungainly limbs. His face always wore a sardonic expression. His features were hard, large and heavy. He constantly pulled at his thick mustache, a gesture that Uruvi found faintly annoying. "You wanted to speak with me." It was more a statement than a question, but Duryodhana seemed unruffled by her brusqueness. "Yes, all I want to say is that it pleases me that you are Queen of Anga rather than the Queen of Indraprastha." Duryodhana's words had a ring of honesty, but Uruvi was unsure about how true they were. She preferred to misconstrue his statement. She let herself get riled, to provoke anger in this man whose friendship with her husband left her so helplessly furious. Ah, Indraprastha, I have heard it's the most beautiful city existing today, she replied pleasantly. The barren Kandivaprastha has been converted to Indraprastha, the city of gold, I hear. The Pandavas have so wonderfully re-established the ancient capital. The ruins have been transformed into such a wealthy city, she gushed. The Pandavas are ruling Indraprastha, bringing back all its glory. The credit, I must say, besides the resourcefulness of the Pandavas, goes to your father who came up with this fine demonstration of fairness and justice by having the kingdom and giving away the arid part to the Pandavas. Uruvi knew she had struck a raw nerve. Duryodhana flinched. Are you provoking me, dear princess? He asked softly. I won't pretend that I am happy with my father's decision. He was forced to obey Bhishma Pitamaha and Guru Dronacharya, he replied shortly. They would like to believe that the Pandavas are entitled to half of the kingdom. I don't, nor does Karna. We differ with their opinion and agree that the kingdom shouldn't have been divided. Karna, though, believes in battling out. His suggestion was, and I fully consented to it, that we launch a surprise attack on the Pandavas and King Drupad before Krishna joined them with his Yadava army. His argument was that we attack the Pandavas before they grow stronger and more friends join up with them. I, frankly, would have preferred something more subtle and less direct than an open battle, but Karna staunchly believes we should fight and take a more aggressive way out. Why are you telling me this, Duryodhana? She asked coldly, her voice freezing. From when has any woman been informed or asked for advice in court politics and family intrigue? Besides, neither Karna nor I are part of your family to interfere in the affairs concerning your relatives. Please keep us out of your family feuds. She tossed her head and got up to leave the room. Duryodhana's next words stopped her. Karna is part of my family. He is my closest friend, as dear to me as Dushasana and my other brothers. He is like my brother, Uruvi. But he is not your brother. She pointed out vehemently. He is not and never can be. Leave us alone, Duryodhana. Don't involve Karna in your family disputes. You have a long drawn-out problem with your cousins. Solve it in your way, but do not drag my husband into the familial mess. Your family already resents his presence in the royal court, they find him too interfering, which in a way, is not unfounded. Karna should not be meddling in your family affairs, but he does because you allow him to. You want him to. He speaks as a true friend for a friend in need. And in my hour of trouble, I need him by my side. You said it, she said scornfully. How would you define your hour of trouble, your fight with the Pandavas or your deep grouse against them? That resentment exists since your childhood. Why should Karna help you fight your war with your cousins? Isn't that why you made him the king of Anga in the first place? So that he is forever indebted to you. It's no friendship you claim, Duryodhana, it's a devious arrangement, it's emotional extortion. She lashed out. You are playing on his loyalty and his deep sense of gratitude. Uruvi flamed with passion, seething with anger against the man who was smiling tolerantly at her. Can you deny that you see him as the only worthwhile opponent against Arjuna in the battlefield? Do you deny that Karna is just a pawn in your game against the Pandavas? Do you deny that you are neatly playing up the rivalry between Arjuna and Karna to your advantage so that they hate each other as you had planned? And now you want to place me in the plot as well. Don't make me say more harsh words than what I have already uttered, but please, let him be. Her eyes glittered dangerously in her pale face. The man smiled inwardly, he had purposely provoked her this time and had won the round. Whatever I may say, you are not going to believe me because, you too, like others, are too prejudiced. But please understand this, Karna is the only true friend I have. I respect him and I love him dearly, don't ever question that, he pronounced quietly, biting hard into each word for emphasis. You ask me to let him be. Though unwilling, I am sure I could, he said. Uruvi could not understand why a flicker of a smile crossed Duryodhana's face when he seemed to agree with her. She soon found out. His eyes gleaming with triumph, he went close to her to say softly, "But will he let me do that?"